So here's how it's going to go. We drew names earlier, or drew districts earlier, and we're going to start off in the Gainsborough district for school board candidates. We have 2 candidates. Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention, it's obviously impossible to try to get every candidate to every event like this. So what we did was if somebody couldn't make it, we allowed them to either send someone in their place to make remarks or send a prepared statement that one of us could read on their behalf. And so we had a couple candidates take advantage of that. So I want to let you know that if they couldn't make it, it wasn't something they could get out of. They would have been glad to be here, but they just couldn't make it. So we tried to accommodate everybody that we could. So anyway, Gainsborough District, first is going to be Frank Funes. So Frank, if you want to start making your way up here, and then I'll turn over the mic to you, but let me read a little bit about Frank. Frank is a military veteran. He's a retired power plant technician. Raised in a military family, his father served for 30 years in the Army's 82nd Airborne Division, 11th Special Forces Group as a Green Beret. Frank's uncle was Army Airborne, killed in Korea. Frank joined the Navy and served 2 tours in Vietnam from 69 through 73, and he worked for 25 years as an aircraft power plant technician at Kennedy Airport. He retired to Frederick County for its rural and conservative lifestyle. He has 3 children, one of whom is a teacher, and 1 grandchild. His youngest child currently attends James Wood High School. Please make welcome Frank Funes.
Good evening, folks. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I find myself in a hard place. I come down here from New York to retire, but with the pandemic, with a son in high school, with things the way they were going, I cannot stand and let things go without saying something about it. Bringing it to the point, yesterday was 9/11, and I was really disappointed that the schools didn't mention it, didn't take the time to have at least a minute of silence. Well, a lot of people suffered, are still suffering, and it seems like the school is not focused on America. We need to get back to the basics. We need to have the students reading, writing, and arithmetic. We need to have those goals which established this country and made it great. We're losing that. Our government is askew. Our president can't even go to the 9/11 site because he's got other things to do. But the grassroots, us, you people, are going to make the difference. We have to stick together. We have to keep our moral standards. It's God, family, and country. We've got to stay the course. We need to stick together because there are people here that are very devious and insidious, and they're trying to take our country away. God bless America.
And okay, so Christy Jett is also running for Gainsborough School Board. She could not be here tonight, so Patty is going to read her statement. Patty Solenberg is going to read her statement. Christy is a licensed certified genetic counselor. She has worked in healthcare for almost 15 years. Started in Valley Health Oncology Clinic, genetic counseling in 2016, and in the interim have grown the program into a successful multi-provider practice that not only provides broad cancer coverage to the hospital, but also supports the high-risk prenatal practice and outside providers as needed. Prior to joining Valley Health, she also worked as a genetic counselor in the pediatric and research settings, so she brings a breadth of experience to her candidacy as well. It's her first time running for public office. She feels that she possesses the experience and disposition to serve her community. She has 3 wonderful children with her husband of 13 years. All 3 attend Gainsborough Elementary School, and they share their home with a cat, dog, and 4 chickens. She has her, I asked all the candidates for passions and hobbies too, and some of them sent some cool stuff in. Her passion or hobby right now is homesteading. She said she hasn't been able to do as much gardening or canning this year due to the campaign, but she loves growing, cooking, saving local seasonal produce for her family. So please welcome Patty to read Christy's opening statement.
My name is Christy Jett, and I'm running for the Gainsborough seat on the Frederick County School Board. I am a mom with children in our public school system. I am also a working parent and have been volunteering in my kids' classrooms on a weekly basis since 2018. I have seen firsthand the incredible work our teachers and students put in, as well as the challenges that they face. I do respect a parent's right to have a say in their child's education, but I also trust our teachers and the training that they have, and I will work to make sure that our teachers and staff have the resources they need to do what they do best. I am running because I know how to work as part of a team. I have been working in healthcare for almost 15 years. Most educators and healthcare providers truly want to do the right thing by the populations they serve, but often have only limited resources to do the job. Sometimes difficult choices have to be made, and sometimes the system just doesn't get it right. When we don't get the outcome we want, it doesn't always mean that the system is broken. Sometimes it just means that our students are complicated, just like patients are complicated. I believe in slow but positive change because the best response is not always the flashiest or the most popular one. I am running because I believe that I have the experience needed to bring people together. The biggest issue our schools face right now is overcrowding. Overcrowding is no longer just an aesthetic issue, it is frankly a safety and quality issue that is not going to get better unless we work together. I know that building a fourth high school will not solve anything, but it would be a great start. As a healthcare provider, I understand that compromises are sometimes necessary, but that we must remain focused on what truly matters. At the end of the day, I smile, I shake hands, and I put my own pride aside to serve the needs of my patients, and I would do the same on the school board. I am running because I believe that together we can address these changes and challenges and build a better future for our community. High-quality public schools are foundational for a community because they help families raise the next generation of engaged citizens, attract businesses to the area, and promote community pride through athletics and other extracurriculars. Supporting our public schools is supporting Frederick County. I would appreciate your vote and support in my campaign for the Gainsborough seat on the Frederick County School Board. Vote Christy Jett, Gainsborough District School Board.
All right, thank you, Patty, for doing that. We move on now to the Opequon District. So we have two candidates for Opequon in my pile here. We have Mr. Darrell Bell and Ms. Delane Carlo, and each of them gave me an introduction. We flipped a coin early. These guys didn't even flip a coin. They were so nice to each other, they just figured out who was going to go first and who was going to go second. So that was nice to see. And Darrell is going to come up and go first. So Darrell Bell has worked in teaching for 30 years. He's an 8th grade civics teacher. He's been on the Stevens City Planning Commission for 7 years and the helped with the Robert E. Ayler Band and Chorus for 5 years. He has a wife named Jennifer, 2 children, aged 16 and 13, in the Frederick County Public Schools. His passion is helping people succeed, especially students. And his one hobby, he said his wife is not too fond of, he likes online auctions and never reselling the stuff I win. So, not a good idea. Fun facts, he has traveled to 46 or so countries, taught in 5 countries, lived in 4 countries, watched a soccer match with the king of Zulu tribe while working in South Africa. Very interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Darrell Bell.
I'm going to be different. I could sing a song. My name is Darrell Bell. I'm running for the Opequon District for the school board. I've been living in Frederick County for about 10 years. I have 2 children. I've raised them since kindergarten and preschool up to now in high school and in middle school. I do teach middle school civics. You would think I'd be used to having a crowd look at me and not talk, but this is a little nerve-wracking. The reason I decided to run is basically down to 3 principles. Number 1, we have overcrowding in our schools. Everybody knows it. Everybody's talked about it. We need a 4th high school. And if we don't act sooner than later, we're going to wind up needing more elementary schools as well. With the amount of development that's going on in Frederick County and that's being approved, especially in the Opequon district. We're seeing overcrowding in Bass Hoover, Sharando, and in Middletown. Sharando has 16 trailers. My son is a student there and has 3 classes in these trailers. They don't have restrooms. They have to walk from the trailer to the school. It takes about 10 or 15 minutes round trip if they're not stopping off to do something else. So a 4th high school is essential. Number 2, communication. We need to communicate with each other as parents, as teachers, as the 2 different boards, the Board of Supervisors and the school board. Without that communication, we're not going to be able to solve the problems that exist in our district. So we need to have a lot more communication. And that's one of my goals, is to try and open up that level of communication. And then finally, my 3rd idea is to keep the teachers that we have and to attract more teachers. We lose more teachers to Loudoun County and to other counties, even Washington County, Maryland. They have a big billboard set up in Winchester that is attracting teachers to go up there, and they're even getting a signing bonus. So we need to figure out a way, and part of that is working together in the community. I think the chamber should be involved in helping keep our teachers. Let me back up for a second. The other thing I'm a big proponent of is career and technical education. I don't think we have enough of it. I think with you being in small businesses, it's an awesome opportunity to get involved with our schools. I talked with the Gores, the Gore Meat Market, the butcher, and we talked about possibly having them participate in a career and technical education program in the schools. They're very much for it. And I think in your small businesses in this county, we could do a lot more, because it's realistically, not all of our students are going to go to college, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I am a big proponent of career and technical education, communication, a 4th high school, and then finally keeping our teachers. Thank you, and I apologize for going over.
Thank you, Daryl. So also in the Opequon district is Delane Carlo. Delane was born and raised in Virginia, where she's lived most of her life. She's a graduate of James Madison High School in Vienna, Virginia, earned her undergrad, a BA in art history, cum laude from Virginia Commonwealth University, and her MA and PhD in art history from VCU, specializing in European art and architecture. She's taught at VCU, Averett, Longwood, University of Indianapolis, Randolph College, and University of Lynchburg, where she was a tenured associate professor of art history and chair of the art department. After retiring in 2019 from academia, she moved to Frederick County, lives in Lake Frederick, been active in local politics, working to help get conservative voters elected. After learning that critical race theory is being taught in Frederick County schools, she became aware that the concerns she experienced while teaching at the undergraduate level were becoming increasingly acute, and they were a result of long-standing systemic problem with the education system in Virginia. Each year, students were increasingly challenged by reading and writing assignments and less able to respond cognitively to ordinary assignments that required basic comprehensive responses. Other concerns that prompted her decision to run were a lack of transparency regarding the budget and discord between parents and upper levels of the school administration. Additionally, reports about the decline in student learning in the Virginia schools, need to address the effects of the COVID pandemic, which contributed to the loss of learning, prompted her to consider running for the school board representative for the Opequon district. She'll be running on 3 principles: academic rigor, accountability, and accessibility. The above reflected growing concern over parental rights, which are guaranteed by both the U.S. Constitution and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia. As a parent and grandparent, Delane believes this is a fundamental and overriding issue in education, which will benefit both students, teachers, taxpayers, and all in Frederick County who pay for the education and provide for the education of our youth, the most valuable investment that any state, city, or county can make. Please welcome Delane Carlo.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here and speak to you tonight. I'm going to try not to run over. I want to start by saying If you were wondering why my bio mentioned that I went to where I graduated from high school, it's because when I graduated from Madison High School in Fairfax County, it was one of the top high schools in the country. And it's still one of the best, one of the top 10 in Virginia, but it's changed a lot. It is not what it was when I went there. All my education was public. I received an incredible education at Virginia Commonwealth University, and they were very good to me. I finished my graduate work there in 2000, and as I was leaving, things were starting to change. I was fortunate enough, being a late career, to get tenured at a private college, University of Lynchburg, and as I was teaching, I saw a marked decline every year in the students' ability to read and write and think, and express their thoughts clearly, and to form cogent opinions and ideas and judgments about material that was presented to them. So I want to start by saying that the fundamental principle that I'm running on is parental rights. Recently, I think we've all become aware that parental rights are being chipped away, and we also, a lot of us are concerned about the decline in learning. It has been measured. The decline started before COVID, and it started roughly before 2017. And the recent test scores that just came out are showing that it's not improving as quickly as we would like it to. So I'm running on academic rigor. I am for traditional learning. I would love to say we could get back to the classical model, but I know that might not happen. But we need more traditional-based learning, and we need to start weeding out some of the programs in the school system that shouldn't be there. And I know you all have probably heard the word critical race theory. It's a small subset of social emotional learning, and it's in our schools. And teachers have been sending me samples of it, and I've been looking at it, and it's not good. For one reason, it takes away from traditional learning. We need to get back to phonics, and we need to get back to solid traditional academic structures for learning. And the social emotional learning teaches students not to achieve as individuals. It questions authority. It is Marxist oriented, and it's in the schools. I have samples of it, and it's in our strategic plan. And if you don't believe me, go to around page 6 or 7 in the 2025 strategic plan, and you will see plenty of it. And it was facilitated by Battelle for Kids. And so the next thing I'm running on is I would like all the books that are questionable. I have a list of them, and they need to be removed from the school libraries. So I'm running on accountability. We need a line item budget. And I'm also running on accessibility and transparency. Every parent should have access to what their students are learning, and that falls clearly under the category of parental rights. So I hope you'll give me an opportunity to represent you, the taxpayers, on the school board so we can improve the schools. Thank you.
We now move on to the Back Creek District. Which one of y'all has Jennifer? You again? Yeah. You should have been an actress, Patty. You taking on all these different voices tonight. You have her intro too? It's all one thing, isn't it?
Does she not have a bio?
I thought you did. Yeah, I got too many things here. All right. So we have 2 candidates for Back Creek, and Patty has the info for Jennifer Ellis, and she'll read, and then Scott Sturdivant will come up after that. All right?
Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry. Jen Ellis, Back Creek School Board. My husband and I have lived in Frederick County since 2003. All 5 of my children have been born and raised here and attended Frederick County Public Schools My oldest son has autism and so started his journey at NREP and is now a senior at James Wood High School. I have been active in the schools as a parent volunteer, a PTO officer, and a substitute teacher since 2013. Last year, I began substituting in the schools because I saw the need and because as a parent, I wanted to see firsthand what was going on in our schools. And what I have found is that we have wonderful teachers who work very hard to educate our children, but our schools are understaffed and our teachers are underpaid. And this is what led to teachers leaving at the end of last year, and this is what will happen again this year if we do not make changes. We need to retain our teachers with years of experience while attracting new ones to fill the vacant positions. And we need more specialized teachers and counselors who have specific training to help with the students who have special needs, behavior issues, and learning disabilities. Without those to provide support for the students who need it, the teachers in the general education classrooms are unable to teach effectively, and then all of the students suffer. In addition, I want to work to encourage more parents to get involved with the schools. When teachers and parents work together, the schools thrive. The parents are more aware of what the kids are learning, the teachers get more of the support that they so desperately need, and the kids benefit the most. The more adults pouring into these kids' lives to help them learn and keep them safe, the better our entire community will be. If elected to the school board, I plan to continue to spend a lot of my time in the school so I can continue to communicate with teachers and administrators to see the areas firsthand that need the most attention. And that extra work will enable me to better communicate with my fellow parents who want and need to stay informed about what is happening at their children's schools. Yes, it will be a lot of hard work, but I believe our children and teachers and all of the rest of the school staff are worth the effort. Vote Jen Ellis, Back Creek District School Board.
Okay, also running the Back Creek District is Edward Scott Sturdivant. Scott, come on up. Brought your own fans. That's pretty good. Nobody else did that. Scott was a fry cook after graduating Garfield High School in 1980. He was the first Sturdivant in his family to graduate from high school. Served in the U.S. Army from 85 to 88. Served in West Germany with the 210th Field Artillery Brigade. He was honorably discharged from service July 29, 1988 at Fort Dix. He worked for William A. Hazel until he was hired by the Frederick County Sheriff's Office. September of 88, he was hired by the Frederick County Sheriff's Office to work at the regional jail. Later became the Regional Adult Detention Center. During his time there, he was promoted to lieutenant. He worked as Sergeant of Support Services, Director of Staff Development, Accreditation Manager, Watch Commander, Director of Work Release. As a result of being an accreditation manager, he became an auditor with the American Correctional Association, auditing jails on the East Coast. Became a certified instructor and taught in-service training and basic jail students at the Criminal Justice Training Academy in Middletown, Virginia. And he retired from all that in October of 2014. Since then, he's been a part-time correctional officer with Prince William Adult Detention Center. Continues to act as a general instructor at the Academy in Prince William County. He's been an officer of elections for 20 years here in Frederick County, and to that end, and that had to end when he became a candidate. He was elected to the Shawnee Land Advisory Board and served for 3 years. Married in September of 1984. They have 4 children, 2 grandchildren, raising their grandson, who's a sophomore at James Wood High School. His mother worked for the federal government until her death in '89, and his father is a retired Fairfax police officer. His uncle was sheriff of Frederick County. For passions and hobbies, he said he enjoys hunting and fishing. His true passion is spring turkey season. Plays guitar, bass guitar, and harmonica. He's a reenactor with the 8th Virginia Infantry and the 87th Pennsylvania. The chaplain of the Civil War Reenactment Organization Longstreet's Corps. Runs his own ministry, Singing CO Ministries, and he's ministered in word and song at churches and Civil War events in Pennsylvania, Maryland, West Virginia, Virginia, Tennessee, North Carolina, and South Carolina. He was ordained by the Gospel Alliance Ministries. He played in several heavy metal bands in the 80s, playing guitar and singing in some of the finest establishments up and down Route 1 in the greater D.C. area. He's been fortunate to see some of the greatest heavy metal bands of all time, including Kiss, Led Zeppelin, and the original lineup of AC/DC, and many other bands. These bios were so fun when I got these in my email. They were fun to read. I've personally seen 3 United States presidents, Reagan, G.W. Bush, and got to shake hands with Ford. He's authored 2 books and had them published through Tate Publishing. Please welcome Scott Sturdivant.
By golly, that sounded almost impressive, didn't it? I got these notes. I never read them. Scott Sturdivant, I'm running for school board for the Back Creek District. The reason I got into this, I am not a politician. The school board ticked me off last year when I went to the school board meetings and they said, basically, up yours, we're not listening to you. I was there advocating for doing away with the mask, and they said, we don't have to listen to the governor, we don't have to listen to the parents, we're going to force the kids to mask. My son went wearing the mask to school, brought COVID home while he was wearing the mask to keep me safe. They mocked me. I'm tired of it. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of it. One school board member called us all noise. Another school board member that's sitting on the school board now makes up his mind whether he's going to listen to somebody or not based on how they come to the podium. I've seen the text messages between the school board members while they're supposed to be up there doing their job, talking about each other or talking about the parents that come up to speak. I'm tired of it. When you're elected to office, it's a sacred covenant. Amen? Come on, there's a preacher in me. It's a sacred covenant between you and the voters. And as a politician, I hate to say politician, as an elected official, if you elect me, that is sacred to me. I work for you. Too many politicians anymore want to say, I don't have to listen to you, I'm going to do it my way. And I've had enough. I don't know about you. I'm not advocating I know the teachers have a hard job. I gave a compliment to one of my grandson's teachers last year. She says, that's the first compliment I've ever gotten. All I ever hear is what we do wrong. It should not be that way. Amen? Come on now, talk to me. Like I said, I got into this race just because I'm a ticked off parent, but we've talked about the books and the things in the school, and I've got a long list of books in the school as to what I don't think in there should be in there, but I don't understand why 6th, 7th, and 8th graders need access to a book that tells them about a story of a girl who is in love with a sex god. If you think that that's okay, then the problem ain't with me, the problem is with you. You like me or not like me, but I'm telling you, we don't need sexually explicit adult material in our schools. Discipline has become a problem. I know firsthand there's a discipline problem because when I've gone to James Wood High School for meetings, I've been mocked, I've been ridiculed by all the little students standing outside. I know teachers have been spat on. I know teachers have had chairs thrown at them. It should not be that way. I work in the jail, they don't, and they shouldn't have to deal with those kinds of things. So in closing, it's time we stand up and say, we have had enough. If you want status quo, then vote for the other people. That's fine if that's what you want. But I'm telling you now that there are things coming down the pike, mask mandates, the whole 9 yards. I can see the news. I can see what's coming. And they're going to mask you up. They're going to mask your children up if you don't vote for the conservatives for the school board. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Scott. There's 4 seats up on the school board this year. The final is the at-large seat, so that's not any particular district, it's the entire county. There are 3 candidates this year running for that seat. 2 of them could not be here tonight. One of them is, I kind of feel pretty bad about because we scheduled it on a night where they're having a school board meeting. So I will take the arrows for that one. My apologies for there. But, and the other one, is, I think, flying an airplane. So that seemed like a good reason to not be here, too. Anyway, Chris, Davey, are you here anywhere? There you are. Come on up, Chris. So, and the other 2 will be read statements that we will do after Chris speaks. So Chris Davey, running for the at-large Frederick County School Board seat. Chris was born and raised here in Frederick County. He attended Frederick County Public Schools from Indian Hollow all the way through graduating James Wood in 2009. In 2012, he married his best friend, Caitlin, and together they're raising their son, Camden, in Frederick County, where he's also proudly attending Frederick County Schools. Please welcome Chris Davey.
All right. Well, I appreciate everybody coming out and listening to us talk at you, and hopefully you get something out of it. So, but Chris Davey, running for school board member at large. As he said, born and raised here my whole life. Have a lot of interest in keeping our county the way we need to keep it, especially our schools. Kind of like Sturdivant, which of course have to follow him up. That's always tough, right? So, but like all of our other conservative candidates running for school board right now, huge concerns is the books in the library, the bullying, the lack of discipline in the schools. But we can talk until we're blue in the face about that stuff, until we're voted in to take care of it. We can't do anything about it other than attend these meetings and try to get the other people on the board to take care of this issue right now. But we need to get on there, get the good conservatives on there so we can take care of this ourselves, because they're not taking care of it. Now, instead of talking about all that, one big thing that really is a big thing I want to cover is I'm a huge supporter of our CTE programs. I'm a small business owner, and a big thing that we've ran into, especially COVID, is running out of people that we can hire because nobody wants to work. I'm sure all the other small business owners in here have the same issue, and it's not a lack of people, it's a lack of motivation. And one thing that we're having issues with is our CTE programs are producing people, but they're running away from Frederick County. We got to fix that issue. We got to bring the kids out of the CTE programs, connect them with these businesses that are already here in Frederick County. We used to do that as a CTE program. We used to have that connection when we would have people. So I'm a mechanic on a small business, like a small automotive shop. We used to have people that would call when students were coming out of the automotive industry or automotive CTE program. They would call us, say, "Hey, we got so-and-so coming out, really good student. Would you want to take them in and start training them?" Because not every kid needs to go to college. Not every kid is going to go to college. And we need to make sure the kids know that is okay. You don't have to go to college. I never went to college. I'm doing fine. There's plenty of other people in this room that could tell you the same story, that they got out of high school, started in the workplace, they worked their way up, had a mentor they followed. Right now, my mentor is my dad. He's a great guy. I love him to death. He has taught me everything I know, taught me to be the man I am today. And without him, I would never be where I am. So we need to make sure that these kids that don't have that dad figure, mentor, that we can place them and help them out and continue after high school with where they need to go. And it's not always college, because we see what happens when they go to college. They're getting indoctrinated, and they're coming out unfortunately dumber than what they went in. So please consider me for school board member at large, and come talk to me over here. My wife and son are with me as well. Thank you.
All right. You have Dane. Okay. So we have two more. I'll go ahead and read this one, and then I'll ask Carrie to come up and read the final one. So the other at-large is Brian Hester, running for re-election. He's at the school board meeting tonight. So again, my apologies that we scheduled that the way we did. Anyway, Brian was born and raised in Winchester, Frederick County. He graduated from Hanley High School, went to earn an undergraduate degree from Randolph-Macon, an MBA from Shenandoah University. He's a graduate of the Virginia Bankers School of Bank Management and the Wake Forest University Banking Program through BB&T, which is now Truist Bank. He's also a graduate and the only school board member that has completed the Frederick County FCPS 101 program. He's a commercial banker in Winchester, where he's been for the past 15 years. Married to his wife, Mary Kay, for going on 17 years. They have 3 daughters, ages 15, 13, and 7. All 3 girls are enrolled in the Frederick County Public Schools. His wife and him are very involved with their daughter's activities, regularly volunteering for school activities. They moved to Frederick County 10 years ago, knowing that the local school system would meet each of their daughter's individual needs. You can usually find them at soccer fields, at the barn, or enjoying local events and activities on the weekends. And Brian made a decision a couple years ago to run for the school board. He takes great pride in the staff and administration as they provide the best education for the nearly 14,000 students in their program. He's proud to say that Frederick County is his home, looks forward to being able to serve when reelected. He also goes on to say that he is an advocate for the fourth high school, and he wants to make sure that we get that done during his next term. He needs someone with his background to make sure the teachers and staff are compensated properly so we don't lose them to competing school districts. He needs someone with his background that can unify the relationship between the Board of Supervisors and the school board, and that will continue to fight what is right for the school system. Brian made a campaign promise 4 years ago stating he'd donate his entire school board salary back to the school system. To date, he's personally given back $20,000 in the form of 25 grants and 5 scholarships to graduating seniors going into teaching special education, totaling $2,500. This year's election cycle is one of the most important we've had in many years. It's the year that we come together, more importantly, work together for Frederick County, not against it. It's up to you and the community to decide the direction of Frederick County goes. We need a board of supervisors that will sit down and talk no matter what their political views. We need a school board that doesn't take political views over what is based on for the school system. The school board seats are not party affiliated. There's no need for individuals that don't have a vested interest in the school system to be on the school board or who don't have kids in the school system. We don't need individuals that are focused on school choice and defunding the school system because our school system is growing faster than most people realize. Please do your research this year. We need unification, and we need you to vote on November 7th. You can make this happen. Thank you, and I humbly ask for your vote and support. Again, that's Brian Hester for the at-large seat. And Diana Klein, and Carrie is going to read her statement, but her quick bio. She's a Frederick County born and raised mother of 2, graduate of Sorrento High School, United Airlines Boeing 7037 captain, entrepreneur candidate for Frederick County School Board at large. She's always wanted to fly airplanes. Her father was a pilot and came home happy and ready to spend his days off with his family. So at an early age, Diana decided to pursue a profession that gave her as much joy and flexibility as he had. She also had an intense desire to serve her country. So after college, she enlisted in the U.S. Air Force Reserve. She was later commissioned as an officer, serving as a C-5 Galaxy pilot, flying missions supporting Operation Iraqi and Enduring Freedom. During her military service, she began flying for United Airlines. She spent 4 years in various management positions, including flight manager at the second largest pilot base, overseeing base operations and managing more than 700 first officers. She also served as a B-737 instructor and evaluator. As a worldwide long-haul pilot, she was selected as one of 4 pilots to operate United's inaugural B-787 Dreamliner service from San Francisco to New Delhi, India. To diversify her skill set, Diana also earned a master's degree in aeronautical science and launched Shenandoah Aviation, which is an aviation consulting firm, soon after she completed her MBA at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. She achieved her dream career and now dedicates her time giving back. Diana is passionate about eradicating the opioid epidemic in America. She has founded the Take Flight to Fight the Opioid Epidemic initiative during her tenure as Mrs. Nevada 2020. Due to her philanthropic and business endeavors, she was named one of Vegas Inc.'s 40 Under 40 in 2020. Diana was also honored by American Mothers Inc., being named Nevada's Mother of the Year in 2022. If y'all could welcome Carrie to the stage to read Diana's prepared remarks. Thank you.
Good evening. This is on behalf of Diana Klein. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Small Business Freedom Alliance. Here's a little bit about me and why I'm running for our Frederick County School Board at large. After being born and raised in Frederick County and a graduate of Sorrento High School, I knew this is where I wanted to raise my family. When my husband and I returned to the county with our 2 sons, I troubled over how our school system had changed from when I graduated 23 years ago. Due to my husband and my service in the United States Air Force, we moved often, allowing us to see how different school systems across the United States operated. I expected to see detailed line-item budgets and class curriculums posted online so parents could see what their children are being taught. I expected to find teachers full of life and passion for education, like the cadre of educators who taught me. Thoughtful, strategic planning for the rapid growth of our county and the associated increase in our student population. Instead, I discovered the opposite of all of these. Having exercised strategic planning and care for my team in leadership positions as an Air Force officer, an airline captain, and a small business owner, I'm equipped to help our children, parents, and teachers. As a school board member, I serve as a conduit for you, the taxpayer, for you, the parent, to the Frederick County Public School leadership. I will listen and facilitate clear communication to ensure your concerns are heard. As a fiduciary of your hard-earned income, I will ensure your dollars are budgeted wisely with transparency and directed to where it is needed most. Together, we can maintain our Valley values while providing the best education for the leaders for the future of our children. Please remember to vote for Diana Klein, School Board Member at Large.
So for the second part of our show tonight, we have our constitutional offices. So these offices are up for re-election every 4 years. And fortunately tonight we have everyone here except for one that is running, so happy about that. So you will not be hearing any candidates for the Commonwealth's attorney. Ross Spicer is running for re-election, but he had a schedule conflict and could not be here tonight. So that one will be off the schedule. But we drew earlier, and the first one that came up was Clerk of Court for Frederick County. There are 2 candidates for that. We flipped a coin, and Sarah Kale, candidate, will be the first to come speak to you. And Sarah sent me her bio, so she'll start making her way. Oh, there she is. So she is a speech-language pathologist in the Virginia public school system. She's starting her 17th year. She excels at managing large workload and involving numerous duties with a positive, helping attitude. She wants to be your next clerk of court to continue a career of service to the community. She's a wife and mother of 2 daughters. Her passenger hobby, she's a lover of music and good food and the great outdoors, and she's a collector of vinyl records. Very cool. So please welcome Sarah Kale.
All right, thank you. As Josh has said, I've been in public service in the school system for over 16 years. I'm a master's educated professional with a strong work ethic, and through my years of experience, I've developed the leadership, organizational, administrative, and communication skills it takes to lead the clerk's office. My leadership experience includes being a lead speech therapist, clinical supervisor, mentor, and case manager. I have extensive experience training staff, leading meetings, working within a budget, and allocating resources. I'm an expert at managing a large workload by developing efficient schedules and creating and maintaining records that comply with state and federal law. I'm skilled at communicating and collaborating with a variety of individuals on a daily basis. These skills, along with a deep respect for law enforcement and the court system, make me the ideal candidate for clerk of court. I seek this office to not only continue to serve my community, but to make a greater contribution to the success of it. As the population of Frederick County continues to grow, the demands on the clerk's office increase as well. It is essential that Frederick County elect a clerk that is prepared to adapt and change with the times. I'm the candidate that wants to move this office forward and serve you best. As such, I'm committed to making the clerk's office more accessible, efficient, and responsive to the needs of our citizens. Our citizens deserve a clerk's office that is modernized and functions most efficiently in its daily work, one that allows easier access to forms and services and is accessible to everyone, one that engages and actively informs the public, and one that has a friendly, knowledgeable, and prompt staff to serve them. Our citizens are my priority, and this is my vision for the clerk's office. When elected, I'll adhere to being honest, transparent, accountable, fair, and just to be the leader this office needs. I will respectfully honor the statutes set forth in the Virginia Code to complete the daily work of this office. And I'll dedicate myself to being a working clerk alongside the staff to achieve this vision. As your clerk, I want to explore available technology to make information and documents more accessible. And I will work to ensure the implementation of any technology is not only cost-effective and secure for our citizens, but is well planned for, researched, and necessary. I want to build and maintain strong relationships with the public, government entities, and local businesses to gain a better understanding of the needs of the community and work to provide the best possible services. And I will also ensure that staff attend relevant career training to support a knowledgeable, consistent, effective, and friendly staff. In summary, I'm running for clerk of court to bring a fresh perspective, implement innovative approaches, and lead this office to work more effectively for the people of Frederick County. It is time for a new era of leadership in this office, and with your support, I'm excited to be the one to bring it about. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Also running for clerk of court is Kirk Whittle. Kirk is the Chief Deputy Clerk of the Frederick County Circuit Court. He has been working there for 17 years and previously volunteered for the Frederick County National Little League. His parents are Mark and Cindy Whittle, who are former educators, school administrators. His brother Ryan's a teacher at R.E. Eller Middle School. His passions and hobbies are he's a sports enthusiast. He played football, basketball, and baseball growing up. He still attends local high school games to cheer on the local high schools. And the fun fact he shared with us was that he still holds the single-season record for three-pointers made in Sharando, set back in 2001. All right, Kirk Whittle.
Hey, thanks for having me. As Josh said, my name is Kirk Whittle. I'm the Chief Deputy Clerk for the Frederick County Circuit Court. And I assure you, I am the best candidate for this job. Now, you don't have to take my word for it. An attorney handed me this petition. Unbeknownst to me, he was passing it around just last week. It's got the signatures of over 35, 36 attorneys, local attorneys in town. This is just a copy. I imagine the original probably has about 50 signatures at this point. Find me afterwards, take a look at this, you know. I bet you'll recognize some of the names on this document. Now, my opponent said something about training. I've earned certification from the Virginia Clerks Association, the National Center for State Courts, the U.S. Department of State, and the Supreme Court of Virginia for my extensive training and continued education. I've worked for Becky Hogan for 17 years. 17 years and learned everything she knows, working from the bottom up. Before Becky became clerk, she worked under George Whitaker for 27 years and worked her way up. That's not by accident. It's what's necessary to prepare for this job. Now, she also mentioned something about efficiency. Now, let me give you a few numbers. I'm going to talk fast here. I'm told I talk too fast sometimes, but I'm going to get through this. It's a few numbers from January of 2022 to July 2023. Give you a glimpse of what our office does, show you how efficient we really are. 20,548 land records recorded. Those are deeds of trust, deeds of easement, plat maps, things like that. 1,446 civil cases processed. Those are divorces, adoptions, complaints, petitions, expungements. 2,973 concealed weapon permits issued. 3,050 criminal cases processed, anything from murder, rape, B&E, grand larceny, you name it, we get it. 688 marriage licenses issued. 801 will and probate appointments. And maybe the most important number of all is 0. When we get audited every year by a state auditor, they look at all those cases. 0 mistakes. That's how efficient our office is. And those numbers should mean something to you guys because you are those numbers, you know. I bet everyone in this room accounts for at least one of those statistics, whether it be a concealed handgun, marriage license, passport. You see, I don't want to sound negative, but this really isn't a difficult choice. It really isn't. If you leave politics out of this race, you'll see that. They don't belong in the clerk's office. And I hope you'll vote for me to be your next clerk of court. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kirk. And next on our list, did you take one of my papers, Kirk? Yeah? Yeah. Pretty efficient how you brought that back to me. That's good. Next, Sheriff Lenny Bill Holland will come up and speak to us. Sheriff sent me some information on his background. He's born and raised in Cumberland, Maryland. From 77 through 79, he worked for the Allegheny County Sheriff's Office in Cumberland. In 79, at the age of 21, he came to Winchester, Virginia, and became a police officer with the Winchester Police Department. Lenny worked his way through the ranks as patrol officer, canine handler, investigator, sergeant, and lieutenant in charge of the Criminal Investigations Division. In '02, he became the sheriff of the city of Winchester. This was a position he held for 12 years or 3 terms. Sheriff Bill Holland ran for and was successfully elected as sheriff of Frederick County. Lenny is currently serving as the only sheriff to have ever been sheriff for a city 3 terms and then run for and successfully win the position as the county sheriff. Sheriff Bill Holland is responsible for 415 square miles and over 95,000 residents. Sheriff Mill Holland commands 140 sworn law enforcement personnel, 10 office staff, 4 communications personnel. He's been in law enforcement for over 44 years, was a canine handler for over 22 years, handling patrol canines and bloodhounds. Sheriff Mill Holland is an FBI National Academy graduate, number 188. He's a past president of the Virginia Sheriff's Institute and is currently the first vice president of the Virginia Sheriff's Association. Lenny's a graduate of the National Sheriff's Institute and has been a mentor for the Sheriff's Institute and the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. He's on the board of Our Health and the Evans Home for Children. Please welcome Sheriff Lenny Mill Holland.
Thank you, Josh, and thanks everybody from the Freedom Alliance for being here. My name is Lenny Milholland, and I am the sheriff of Frederick County. Just to tell you a little bit, we have 415 square miles like we talked about. I've got 140, I checked today, employees. Of those 140, right now I have 7 that are in the academy in Middletown. I have 10 vacancies. Basically, in the Commonwealth of Virginia, there's 123 sheriffs, and I'm one of those 123. Our agency is a full-service agency. I pulled some numbers today just to let you know. When I first started 2,812 days ago, we had 74,431 calls for service, and last year we had 92,148 calls for service. So far to date, we have over 69,000 calls for service and 29,000 man-hours dealing with those calls for service. We've got 21 schools that we provide school resource officers for, and right now I have 18 of those schools that are covered. We don't have people knocking at the door to be police officers. When you go to Loudoun County or Fairfax, they're offering almost $10,000 more than what we can pay. We start at $48,000 and a couple dollars. They have an ad on Facebook, and you can pull it up and look at it. Their starting salary is $58,000 up to $103,000, and it's hard for us to compete when you have things like that. We've been looking for a school resource officer probably for the past 5 months, and you can't just say, today you're going to be an SRO. You've got to go to school, you've got to be trained, you've got to know what you're doing. And to be a police officer, it takes 20 weeks of education to be a police officer. A lot of people don't know that. And we send them to Middletown, and by the time we're done, it's about $32,000 worth of training that it costs the citizens of Frederick County. And then after they do a year or two, they want to go somewhere and make more money. They're already certified, so they can go to Loudoun or Fairfax. I talked to a friend of mine today who's lieutenant colonel in Loudoun County. They just got 60 positions approved by their board of supervisors, and they have 39 vacancies. They're looking for anybody that they can get. So you do the math, that's 69 spots that they're looking, and they're offering a whole lot more money than I can. So when I first took office, my main objective was the fact to do the best that I could for the citizens of Frederick County, and I got 1 second left, and for my people. And I will stand here and tell you I will do anything to protect my people and the citizens of Frederick County. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. The next office on our list was Commissioner of Revenue. We have 2 candidates for that. We flipped a coin earlier, and Tanya Klein-Seibert was going to go first. Start making your way on up here, and I'll do your introduction. Tanya was born and raised right here in Frederick County in Clearbrook, Virginia. She graduated from James Wood High School and has been working for 29 years as a business professional for Sterling Jewelers. She's dedicated to the election process, has helped conservative candidates since the age of 18. She lives on Apple Pie Ridge Road with her husband of 32 years and 2 young children that attend Frederick County Public Schools. Please welcome Tanya Klein-Seibert.
I wanted to thank all of you for allowing me to speak this evening, especially the Small Business Freedom Alliance, as well as West Oaks. Today I'm going to talk about it's time for a change. Far too long, our assessments have not been equitable nor accurate. Upon taking office on January 1st, 2024, that will be my number one priority. My opponent says that he's only dealt with 250 appeals. My question is, how many people have checked to see if their assessments were even correct? Of those, how many were able to get their paperwork filed and have their assessment appealed? How many got frustrated with the process and found out they couldn't even meet with the commissioner? First and foremost, I will make sure that assessments are correct and followed up is done in a timely manner. It is time for a change. My opponent talks about how experience matters, but he's only half right. Experience does matter, provided you're not there to just collect a paycheck. Desire and ability means much more than experience. My ability far surpasses my opponent. I bring fresh, professional business experience that he does not have. If you do the same, you will get the same. I have fresh eyes and innovative ideas that will modernize the Commissioner of Revenue office, making more efficient and customer-friendly. And technology should not just be technology should not compete with access to service. It is time for a change. As a group of small businesses, finding good employees in today's market is difficult. To run an effective office, you must invest in your employees. Keeping employees directed, trained, and engaged is the key. One way to accomplish this is to be present in the office. Rather than working remotely, you cannot lead if you are not visibly present. You cannot keep employees directed, engaged, if you're only speaking to them over the phone, on Zoom, or not at all. When elected, I will be present in day-to-day operations. I will make sure the staff have what they need to accomplish their job and remain engaged. Losing 15 employees with over 100 years of experience in the last 3.5 years is inexcusable. It is time for a change. Making assessments equitable and accurate is the first step in keeping taxes low. Ronald Reagan said it best in his speech entitled, "A Time for Choosing." Reagan said, "I have an uncomfortable feeling that this prosperity isn't something in which we can base our hopes for the future." No nation in history has ever survived the tax burden that has reached 1/3 of our national income. He said those words in 1964. We need to heed those words, move forwards, not backwards. It is time for a change. Here's how you can help. Volunteer on door knocking, assisting with donations, write letters to the editor, and most importantly, vote. Early voting does start September 22nd, and I do encourage that. Together we can keep Frederick County from becoming Loudoun County. Vote Tanya Seibert and vote Republican. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. So also running for Commissioner of Revenue, running for re-election Commissioner of Revenue is Seth Thatcher. Seth was the only person that, when I asked for a bio, he sent me a small book with table of contents and all kinds of other stuff. But it was fun to read. So, Seth, I hope you don't mind if I just pick out the high points so we can keep moving. Seth has 16 years of experience working in the Commissioner of Office as a real estate assessor and/or commissioner. Prior to being commissioner, he served a 4-year term on the Frederick County School Board, representing the Opequon District. He and his wife, Kelly, live in Stevens City, where also he included that they are restoring a home that's going to be in the National Historic Register. Very cool project. Community service is a passion. He's on the boards of the Frederick County Educational Foundation, the Child Advocacy Center, United Way of the Northern Shenandoah Valley, Hanley Regional Library System, former chairman of the Salvation Army Advisory Board, and a donor and volunteer to the NW Works and the Concern Hotline. I know he's been elected lieutenant governor in the past of the Division 8 Kiwanis International in the Mason-Dixon region, and he became president of the Kiwanis Club of Old Town Winchester after being a Kiwanian for almost 2 decades. In his spare time, he reads about theoretical physics and cosmology, which no one else put that on their bio, so thanks for that. Anyway, if you could please welcome Mr. Seth Thatcher. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It's great to be here. I appreciate you all coming out tonight. I'm glad we're getting this rain out here. I think we're all probably very glad about that. I'm Seth Thatcher. I am the Commissioner of the Revenue. I just took a lot of attacks right before I got up here, so my head's swimming a little bit. So bear with me. But the things that I wanted to talk to you all about, I wanted to throw out some numbers at you. I've seen the sheriff do that a few times, and it kind of draws you in. One of the things that we have in the Commissioner of Revenue's office is we have over 8,000 business licenses that we give out each year to Frederick County business owners. That is a lot of businesses, and it grows every year just by a little bit. And it's a big job to manage all those things, and I've got a great staff that helps to do that. Another number I want to throw out is 50,000 parcels of property for real estate that we have to revalue every 2 years. So big job there. We have a number of assessors that do that, and of course I was, as Josh said, and I was a former assessor, so I know the techniques and methodologies associated with managing that. I would argue that our assessments are very accurate. As a matter of fact, the sales that we're seeing after our most recent 2023 assessment are showing that the values aren't high enough, and so therefore, by state law, I'm required then to reassess them for 2025, and the numbers look like they're probably going up again. We don't know how much at this point. We're certainly monitoring that. But what happens then, and what happened this last cycle, was the Board of Supervisors lowered the real estate tax rate from 61 cents to 51 cents, which should have made it so that most people are getting basically the same taxation level as they were before. The other number I want to throw out is 164,000 line items of personal property. The cars and trucks, trailers, boats, planes. Again, another big number. It takes a lot to manage that, and every single day our personal property division is dealing with move-ins and move-outs, people buying and selling vehicles, et cetera, et cetera. During the course of a year, it's not uncommon for us, of those 164,000 line items, to be transferring in and out at a third of those at least. Could be even more. So at any rate, I just want to stress the fact that I am the Commissioner of Revenue. I've been doing a good job. I'm in the office every day, and except when I'm at a conference or something like that. And I look forward to serving you for another 4 years in a job that's very difficult. And thank you.
Thank you, Seth. And our final office tonight is the Office of County Treasurer. And we have one candidate for that, Mr. William Orndorff Jr. He's serving his 36th year as Frederick County Treasurer. Before being elected as Treasurer, he served one term on the Board of Supervisors. Prior to serving as Treasurer, he was a teacher in Frederick County Public Schools and worked 8 years at Farm Credit of Winchester. Mr. Orndorff is a member of the Treasurers Association of Virginia, where he served as state president in 97-98. He was Treasurer of the Year in 99, received the President's Award in 2003, and has been the legislative co-chair from 1990 to present. As a leader within the state organization, Mr. Orndorff has been able to accomplish numerous goals through training, tax collection efforts, and service to taxpayers. Proper training and the availability of the internet has made paying taxes in Frederick County readily available 24/7. While a leader in Frederick County, Mr. Orndorff has been a test site for pilot programs for the Commonwealth of Virginia, where other localities visit to learn. Frederick County Treasurer's Office has received office accreditation every year since 2012. He's a certified governmental treasurer as designated by the Weldon Cooper Center, University of Virginia. He's a graduate of James Wood High School and Virginia Tech. He's a lifelong county resident and active member of the Stonewall Riverton Club with 46 years of perfect attendance, Kiwanis Club of Winchester. He has served as president and treasurer of the Stonewall Riverton during his tenure. In his spare time, he's a farmer and managing his beef farm, Moo Moo Daycare. He's also a member of the Loudon Mutual Insurance Board of Directors. He's been active in the Republican Party for over 50 years. He's a proud father and stepfather to Jordan and Jonathan and his 4 grandkids. He resides in Clearbrook with his wife Cheryl on their family farm. Please welcome William Orndorff.
Thank you, Josh. I would like to thank the Small Business Freedom Alliance for the invitation to be here this evening, and also for those that have taken the time out of your schedule to be with us. I am Bill Orndorff, and as Josh mentioned, Republican nominee, and I've served for the 36 years. Also, prior to training for the job of treasurer, I was on the Board of Supervisors and seeing at that time some of the voids that were associated with that office and was asked to serve in that capacity. My job as treasurer can be broken down into 3 categories: collect taxes, safekeeping or invest the revenues until needed, and then disperse appropriate obligations. Most of the time is given to tax collections. We have an excellent collection rates. Personal property, talking about the number of items, but personal property is 98.8% collected. Real estate is 99.7% collected for the last 5 years. It is no small feat to accomplish these rates. It's a policy that we enforce collections so that all taxpayers pay their fair share and reduce the tax burden on those that pay timely. I must acknowledge that our efforts to accomplish such low rates is also a desire of other Virginia localities. We mentor those localities that ask so that they can also have our success. I must also recognize that we have the full support of the Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Milholland and his staff, and the Commonwealth Attorney when necessary. As a small business, I know that when each of you interview for new hires, you are looking for the most qualified, experienced individual you can possibly hire. The job of being your treasurer is no exception. My experience accumulated over the past 36 years, I've said that a couple times, as treasurer cannot be replaced with someone that has never worked in a treasurer's office, or for that matter, any of the constitutional offices. With my tenure, there is no need for on-job training. Each constitutional office is separate and independent of local governing body. Virginia Constitution calls for 5 offices, which include the Commonwealth's Attorney, Sheriff, Clerk of Court, Commissioner of Revenue, and the Treasurer. There are literally hundreds of code sections that each officer must be familiar with to fulfill his or her duties. Starting on September the 22nd through November the 7th, I would appreciate your vote and support for experience, public service, leadership, customer service, and to be reelected as your treasurer. Again, thanks for your attendance and interest in the County of Frederick. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right, guys, that concludes our presentations of all of our candidates. How about another round of applause for everybody who's coming up here tonight?